Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. I gotta be honest with you, something at the forefront of my mind at this particular moment as an American-born Thai is the upcoming possible meeting between Trump and Anutin, especially as it may pertain to the current border situation. Now, personally, I view the entire border matter between Cambodia and Thailand as purely a bilateral thing. But I do understand that somebody has to act as facilitator. For discussions. It's my understanding Malaysia is acting in that capacity as they are the current chair of ASEAN, and they're trying to facilitate this sit down between Thailand and Cambodia to basically hammer out an agreement regarding the border. Presumably, I would like to see the border peacefully reopened so we could see trade between the two countries again and get on with it and see a de-escalation from the late unpleasantness, if you will, to borrow a phrase from the movie Ronin with Robert De Niro. But yeah, I would very much like to see us, de-escalate and get back to doing business, because that's what Southeast Asia does best. Now, again, on top of Malaysia acting as the facilitator, if you will, it seems Trump is kind of involved in a mediatory capacity, maybe acting as something akin to an arbiter, just sort of trying to facilitate further peace. Let's put it that way. And look, I think genuinely Mr. Trump's objective is peace. He's not an overly belligerent, warlike president. That, if you go back to the sort of history of the phraseology of American politics, you can get into hawks and doves. I think Mr. Trump is much more of a dove. I think he genuinely does not like war. That being said, I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from Thai PBS World. That's thaipbs.or.th. Article is titled, "Trump Might See a Signing Ceremony, but Not a Lasting Peace." Quoting directly, U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to preside over the signing of a ceasefire pact between Thailand and Cambodia when he attends the ASEAN summit later this month. But beyond the optics of a ceremony, a lasting peace between the two Southeast Asian neighbors remains elusive. Quote, "How could I comment on that? It's a security matter," unquote. Prime Minister Anutin Charnvirakul responded when asked about Trump's plan to preside over the event. Malaysian Foreign Minister Mohammed Hassan said earlier that there had been a proposal for the United States and Malaysia to act as facilitators in overseeing a ceasefire agreement that will be called the Kuala Lumpur Declaration or the Kuala Lumpur Accord. So my point is in all of this with regard to this video, I don't want to get into the substance of what they're going to get to in this proposed Kuala Lumpur Accord. My question is, will Mr. Trump be talking to Mr. Anutin possibly about the threats to national security in a less, that's not possibly occurring in such a clear way, and that is the threat to national, not security, but national sovereignty as posed by the OECD itself, as Mr. Trump has himself noted in a prior executive order dated earlier this year in 2025, and the name of that executive order is, it's a memorandum for the Secretary of the Treasury. I'll put this on screen. Subject, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, and Global Tax Deal. Now, I talked about this at length over the course of the last year. There was this attempt under Yellen to have this, sort of notion of a global minimum tax. It was all done through this color of law. Oh, we're exploring the option of signing on to this agreement. And then they just start doing things, even though they really don't have the legal authority for it. And Trump affirmatively rejected this, and that's where it currently stands. Quoting directly from this, the OECD global tax deal supported under the prior administration not only allows extraterritorial jurisdiction over American income, but also limits our nation's ability to enact tax policies that serve the interest of American businesses and workers. My hope is that perhaps during their possible conversations, between Mr. Trump and Mr. Anutin, this might come up, and Trump might mention to Mr. Anutin that, hey, this extraterritorial jurisdiction created by OECD could be over possible Thai income, in the same way that he notes that it was a problem for American income, and that that's not good for Thailand. That said, quoting further, because of the global tax deal and other discriminatory foreign tax practices, American companies may face retaliatory international tax regimes if the United States does not comply with foreign tax policy objectives. Yeah, you know, it puts the impetus on the U.S. as if it's somehow incumbent upon them, the U.S. as a nation, to comply with this stuff. And I don't see where it does. And again, it shouldn't be imposed upon Thailand either. Quoting further, this memorandum recaptures our nation's sovereignty and economic competitiveness by clarifying that the global tax deal has no force or effect in the United States. I'm hoping those two have a discussion, and perhaps we see Anutin come back and we see some further definitive pushback against this OECD, because again, I don't think this is good for Thailand either, for the same reasons that Mr. Trump, through his executive order, articulated for the American people. Quoting further, options for protection from discriminatory and extraterritorial tax measures, the Secretary of the Treasury, in consultation with the United States Trade Representative, shall investigate whether any foreign countries are not in compliance with any tax treaty with the United States or have any tax rules in place or are likely to put tax rules in place that are extraterritorial or disproportionately affect American companies. I discussed in a prior video the terms of the U.S.-Thai Treaty of Amity, ratified 1966, which specifically speaks to the issue of attribution of tax and the territorial jurisdictions of the parties thereto. For those who are interested in that, I'll put a link in the description below. That being said, quoting further, and develop and present to the President through the Assistant to the President for Economic Policy a list of options for protective measures or other actions that the United States should adopt or take in response to such noncompliance or tax rules. And frankly, I think Thailand should be assessing Thailand's position, whether or not we're getting the best deal vis-a-vis these foreign interests, and as it pertains to tax policy here in Thailand, and what they would like imposed per the possible promulgation of law on the OECD, because I'm not sure that this is in Thailand's interest for the exact same reasons Mr. Trump elucidates it's not in American interest in his own executive memorandum to the Secretary of the Treasury. That said, quoting further, the Secretary of the Treasury shall deliver findings and recommendations to the President through the Assistant to the President for Economic Policy within 60 days. Now, again, I would be very curious to know if Mr. Trump and Mr. Anutin have discussions regarding the OECD, if only in an offhanded way. Insofar as I'd love it to hear that Trump made some flippant remark about the OECD to Anutin that's like, hey, you got to get out from under that. Or you know how Trump makes the snarky remarks that he makes. It's kind of his, at this point, it's kind of his like calling card, the way that I'll be back was, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger's calling card in the Terminator. My point with this video is, one, I think it's very good to be seeing positive steps in the direction of ceasefire and the possible reopening of the borders safely and in line with everyone's national interests along the Thai-Khmer border. But also I want to see Thailand's national sovereignty, you know, strengthened, maintained, bolstered, and into the future. And I think Trump's position with regard to OECD very much did that for America. And I'm very thankful to Mr. Trump on a real level. Look, credit where credit is due. I don't agree with him or his administration on every little thing that they do. But on this executive order, I completely agree with it. It was absolutely in America's interest to affirmatively reject the OECD. I hope that comes up in conversation in any possible future meeting between Mr. Trump, President of the United States, and Mr. Anutin, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Thailand.